Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel Pretty in Paper by Bee, where we are all about sharing the joy of pretty papers. Now today we are doing episode 2 of my iris folding flower series, and I'm going to be teaching you how to make an iris folding daisy, just like this one. Looks more complicated than it is, I promise you. Now everything you need is in the box down below, so gather your supplies, get comfy, and let's get crafting. So as you can see guys, I've got all my supplies out ready for today's crafting. I've put a list of everything you need in the box down below, so once you've got your things ready, we can get started. The first thing you're going to need is this Daisy PDF pattern download, and I've cut this into the separate pieces. The card template included makes a DL card, but we're not going to be making that today. You're just going to need the daisy outline that's on top of this. So cut around the edges of the daisy, and once you've done this, we can carry on with our crafting. Once you've cut out your daisy silhouette, you can position this toward the left hand side of your small piece of card, about equal distance from the top, the bottom and the left hand side. Use a pencil to draw around the outline of this shape, and this will give you a line for your cutting. Once you've got your outline, you can grab your cutting mat and your craft knife, and you can start cutting out the outline of the daisy. So I'm going to position my cutting mat underneath the piece of card to protect the surface, and I'm going to keep my hand behind the blade of the knife while I'm cutting to make sure that my hand is safe. Once you've finished cutting out your daisy, you can pop out the middle, just like so, and you can put the daisy to one side, so we won't need that anymore. You just need the silhouette in the card. So I'm just going to move my craft knife and cutting mat out of the way, so we've got the space to move on to the folding. Now before we can start folding, you will need your daisy pattern. So I'm going to use a little bit of blue tack to stick this to my surface. Just need a couple of small pieces. It's only to hold it in place to stop it moving as you're placing your folds. So once you've got this stuck to the table, you'll need a couple more pieces of blue tack to stick your daisy silhouette over the top of the pattern. And you want to position this so that you can see all of the pattern lines through the pieces of card. Doesn't matter if your piece of card is not horizontal on your table, it's just so you can see the lines. As you can see, I've chosen 6 pretty papers, and I'm going to grab the first one and cut a strip of about 2 centimetres wide of each piece of paper. You'll probably need 2 or 3 strips of each of your pretty papers, so cut a few ready for your folding. Once you've got all your pretty paper strips ready, we can start to think about where each of those papers is going to go. Your pattern guide tells you exactly where to place each paper. You just need to decide which is paper A, paper B, paper C, paper D, paper E and paper F. So I've laid mine out in this order to make it easier for myself. Grab a strip of paper A and fold over an edge of about 0.5 to 0.7 millimeters. This just gives you a nice crisp clean edge to the paper. Then you want to cut a strip wide enough to cover both of the number 1s on the daisy, just like so. Place with the folded edge facing inwards. Now you might need to cut a little bit of the excess off to make sure that your paper strips are not overlapping the edge of the card, just like that. Then use a couple of bits of sticky tape to hold in place. And again, make sure your sticky tape is not over the edge of the card or covering the daisy in the centre. Once you've done that, you can think about your next papers and follow the daisy round, and using your pattern guide, you can place the rest of your paper strips. Once you've placed the final strip of your pretty papers, You are almost ready to look at all your hard work. You just need to cover the centre of the daisy, also known as the iris. So we're going to cut a square of glitter card just big enough to cover that hole in the middle, and use a couple of bits of sticky tape to hold this in place. Once you've done that, you are finally ready to look at your iris folding daisy, so you can turn it over and see what it looks like. There you go, you have a colourful pastel iris folding daisy. It's looking fab already, isn't it? Okay, so now it's time to think about turning this into a greetings card. So I've folded a piece of A4 card in half, and now I'm going to think about mounting my daisy to the front of this piece of card. So I've chosen to use some foam sticky pad tape for this because I like the fact that you can cut your foam pads to size, but it doesn't matter too much if you've already got pre-cut foam pads. Now I'm going to space these around the edge about 5 centimetres away from each other, making sure I'm covering those corners, but also making sure not to overlap my foam pads with the folding, because otherwise we'll end up with an uneven surface on the front of our card. So I'm going to add one more foam pad to the bottom. Now, because there are quite a lot of folds in the daisy, our topper is actually quite thick, as you can see. So I'm going to add an extra foam pad on top of the foam pads I've already put in place. But before I do this, I need to peel the sticky backs off. So I'm going to peel the backs off and then cut some foam pads about the same size as the ones I've put down and stick them on top, just to give it that extra height off the card base and prevent any bulging. Once I've peeled off the back of all my foam pads, I can position this onto my piece of card. So I've turned it over. Oh, I've just got a bit of sticky tape overlapping the edge there that I need to cut off. There we go. Okay, I'm going to position it just about 1.5 to 2 inches from the top. And I'll explain why shortly. Okay, so once this is in place, we can think about how we're going to add those finishing touches to the front of the card. I'm liking the shimmer of the pearlized card I've used today. Okay, so I've included a template for a daisy stem in my PDF, which I've cut out already. So I'm just going to stick the top of this green stem onto the daisy topper that we've made, and just so it'll hang over the edge and down onto the bottom bit of the card, just like so. It's just starting to have a little bit more of a 3-dimensional effect, which I quite like on my greetings cards. So there you go. Now you could leave it there, or you could add some paper flowers. Now I've got these paper punches which I've just used to punch some flowers out of the papers I used in the folding. I think I got these on Amazon, so I'll put a link below. Now I'm going to layer some of these together because they fit quite nicely on top of each other. And I'm also going to fold up the petals just again to create that nice 3D effect. So I'm going to fold up the petals of each of these flowers, and then I'll layer them just slightly twisted around on top of each other, and you'll see they've got quite a cool finished look to them. Oh, and I've got a bit of butterfingers today apparently. So I'm going to layer up these flowers, and I think this one I've punched out of that rose paper at the top, which is really pretty, isn't it? It's got some lovely colours in it. I'm going to use the tweezers for this one because my butterfingers are probably not trustworthy enough with the smaller flowers. So stick the third and final flower on the top, just like so. And then I'll need a tiny bit more glue to go on the bottom of the flower. There we go. And I'm going to position this one just at the bottom underneath the daisy that I've done so far. And I'm going to keep adding flowers to the front of my card. How do we think it looks, guys? My idea was that it'd look a little bit like flowers blowing through the wind was the goal I had in mind. Now you could leave it there, or you could add a little sentiment. Now I've chosen best wishes because I thought it kind of worked with the floaty, happy, cheerful feel to the card. And I used my Silhouette Cameo 4 to cut out these silver words that I'm just going to use a little bit of glue to add to the bottom of the card. So now I've finished sticking my words on, I think I'm pretty much done with the card. And there you have it, an Iris Folding Daisy flower card. I hope you've enjoyed the video today, guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you soon for some more flower iris folding.